Happy Monday, everybody. Thank you so much for downloading or streaming the Be Our Guest podcast. Today, we have an all-star here on the show. It's Paul from the Discord. He joins us to talk about his trip from this past summer down to Disney's Grand Floridian Resort and Spa, staying over in the Villas side with his family. Concentrated family time. That's what we're going to talk about. It's a great phrase that we should all adopt because Ohana means family, and also Ohana is where they had their first meal of the trip. And we talk about meals there, Citrico's 1900 Park Fair via Napoli, fun times in the park, Magic Kingdom and Epcot. We talk about GEO-82 and just what it means to be a Disney fan, a dad, and a grandpa in making those memories. I know you're going to really love today's show. Paul was an excellent guest. Don't forget, today's show brought to you by the Magic for Less Travel. We'd love to help you plan your next Disney adventure for no additional cost to you. Check out all the details today over at themagicforless.com. Please also use our Amazon affiliate link when you shop online. That one extra click supports everything we do throughout the year. It's beourguestpodcast.com/Amazon. And thank you so very much to our Patreon supporters. You guys are the all-stars that make the show possible. So thank you very much to each and every one of you. You can support us as well, just $5 a month. And for that support, you get a bonus show called Mike in the Midwest. Come over this week. We'd sure love to have you. Patreon.com/BeOurGuestPodcast.
Ready to take a trip to the world? You found the Be Our Guest Walt Disney World Trip Planning Podcast. This is where your memories come front and center on our podcast stage.
Welcome to episode 2737 of the Be Our Guest Walt Disney World Trip Planning Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Rallman from BeOurGuestPodcast.com and one of the senior agents over at the Magic for Less Travel. Happy Monday to you. Hope you had a great weekend. Thank you so much for dropping in here to start another week with us here on the podcast. So glad you're here. I want to send a special shout out to my good friend, Tim Locklear, who always retweets my and favorites my posts over on Twitter. Great leader in the education field. I just appreciate him being out there supporting our podcast time and time again, and wish him a very successful upcoming school year. And that to all of our educators, because we've turned the calendar from July to August, and I know that a lot of educators are not headed back quite yet, maybe in the next week or two, hanging on to that last little piece of summer. But I know, as all educators do, you're thinking about your students, you're thinking about your lesson plans and what the accomplishments are going to be this coming school year. We're right there with you. So make it a great school year, and we're always supporting you. So good luck to all the educators with the coming school year. But if you don't have to go back yet, don't get into your classroom today. Go to the pool. Take us with you. Go off the diving board one last time. Head to a theme park. Do what you got to do. Hang on to summer as long as you can. That's why you went into education, kind of, right? Right? Admit it, it's okay. Anyway, great trip report. And we have a friend of the show today. This show is already on the Mount Rushmore of trip reports, according to Scotty G. And we haven't even started. It's friend of the clubhouse. It's our good friend Paul from New Jersey. Paul, happy Monday. What's up, brother?
Happy Monday, Mike. How you been? Everything's good here in New Jersey.
Oh, my gosh.
Hot, but we're on the other side of a heat wave. So.
Dude, I told you before we started recording it, the cold front pushed through St. Louis about an hour and a half ago as we're recording this show. And I'm telling you what, people emerged from their basements here in the Midwest and various places. I haven't seen people because it was heat index of like 110 for over, like, I think 7 to 10 days. People are just happy all of a sudden. It's like hibernation has ended. People are out walking around our lake. People are cutting their grass. People are smiling. People are like, the sun's not trying to kill us all of a sudden. It's a beautiful thing. Great. Oh, I'm so happy. Like, I should be doing this show in the middle of the backyard. That's how I feel. But we're here in the studio.
You're describing those old Santa Claus Christmas specials, Snow in Southtown, right? Everybody's emerged.
Absolutely. Everybody's just like, it's a little, it almost feels like football season right now. Ooh. It's very exciting for me. I know Scotty and I have differing opinions on this. He wants to hold on to summer as long as he can. He talks about that all the time. I used to be that way when I was a teacher. Now that I'm not in education, bring on Friday Night Lights. Let's go. Where do you fall in that? Would you have summer last forever, or are you somebody who looks forward to the crispness of fall? What do you think?
No, I'm definitely a Christmas fall. I always loved when my kids were small, and my wife's also in education. Always loved summer for them. It's nice to have them home, nice to have the break, and I still feel that way for my wife. But now that my kids are all grown and out, and I like when that frost is on the pumpkin and the pigskin's in the air and the holiday, like, who are you, a Halloween? Are you a Christmas? Are you both? Are you waiting for November 1st to put the music on? That's just my vibe. I'm perfect right there.
Yeah, it's one of those things I try to hold off as long as I can on the Christmas music, and because it is special because it brings back all the memories. You're very much like me. I know we've talked a lot. It's all about the traditions and the memories and all that, and you can't dilute it by going too soon. But man, my problem is too. I follow a ton of like Christmas retro accounts on X.com on Twitter, and so I see it like all year. Like ads from the 70s and 80s of Sears Wish Book and J.C. Penney's, and I get that itch. And now, like I've already seen Halloween commercials, on TV. It's insanity. But that's not why folks are here. We got to talk Disney because you had an amazing trip that we're going to dive into. But before we do that, let folks know, like, you are the star along with like Mohawk, and there's a ton of other folks who've really, Trisha, Dennis, there's a lot of folks over there, Jason, that make our clubhouse what it is. It is absolutely a family. Everybody gets welcome there. You come in, you just boom, you're a part of the family. It's great. And it's just a group from all over the world it's like a little Cheers. Like I say, everybody has a place to be. But what's your Disney story? Like, why are you drawn to Disney? What was the first time you went? How did you get bit so hard by the Disney bug that you keep going back?
Sure. First of all, I'm very humbled. I am just a role player over in the Discord because that place is phenomenal. And I think it was just about a week or so ago I said, and this is for all the listeners who aren't over there or aren't over there a lot. If you're sitting on the sidelines and you're thinking, I don't have anything to contribute, or I just like to follow along, or I have a question but I don't want to ask, the only regret you'll have if you jump in feet first is that you didn't do it sooner. Mm-hmm. We are all over there welcoming. It is, like you said, the Cheers, Mike. You've created a great community over there. People have made the most of it. I don't even want to start. I'll take a cue from Scott here. I don't want to start naming the names because, and of course you named Mohawk and Trisha and Dennis, but I don't even want to start naming it. Julie from Scotland. Yes. These people, not only are they great, not only are they welcoming, but me personally, I could be having a bad day or a rough week, or work didn't go as good as I thought. That I could turn on that thing and I am immediately elated. I am immediately happy. It takes my stress away. It's like being in the Disney parks. You go in the bubble and you're there. It's the same with the Discord. But my story is relatively, it's kind of funny, and I'm jealous sometimes of all the people in the Discord or are on this show or have had trip reports. And yeah, we went when we were little, or I've been going since a kid. I want to take my kids. I did not. So it was 2004. My youngest was 4. So she's a 25 now, if you do the math, right? And my wife's like, we have 4 kids. And she's like, when the youngest gets to be 4, I want to take them all to Disney World. I feel that's a good age. My wife's like, I went as a kid. I went with my sister. We drove in the car, all the story. And I want to take the kids. And believe it or not, and I try to be positive, and I love Disney now. But you wouldn't know it was the same Paul. Because back then I was like, Disney World? Like, I've asked a few friends, and of course you go on people's advice. It's going to be like a boot camp for vacation. I'm not going to get any relaxation. I'm going to go. I'm going to walk, my butt off. I'm going to have all these steps. I'm going to need a vacation from a vacation when I come back. But you know what? If you want to do it, hon, let's do it. We drive all the way down there. We get in, and we stayed off property the first time. We bought the five-day ticket, and we went every other day. And the first day was Magic Kingdom. And we walked in, and my 2 middle children were just jaw-dropped. They were like, this place is so beautiful. And the other one goes, could we come back every year, Dad? And when I saw their reaction and how much fun my older son had, even though he was at the time almost 10, so for him, it was more about the rides and the food and the different things. And my little one, it was July when we went the first time. She had a couple of heat breakdowns, but for the most part, she loved it. Good character interaction. When I saw everything it was and started to research, like what we talk about, you talk about a lot, Birnbaum's, like, when can we go back? Oh, there's this hotel on property. Maybe When I saw just how much it was and how I might never get bored there, I was hooked. From the very first 5-day ticket, I was hooked. From not wanting to go at all to when can I go back? We went back later that year in November, a couple months later, and I couldn't go enough.
So, you said it so well, because I think we all have those moments that just stick in our mind. So from that trip, or even that first year, that first couple of trips, do you have like a core memory that you remember besides that? You mentioned going into the Magic Kingdom and just can we come back and all that. But I mean, do you remember like a special show or maybe an attraction that's no longer there? I remember watching with Mallory when she was even with Paige, before Mallory was even around, this was with Paige, Spectral Magic, late at night, seeing the 11 o'clock Spectral Magic show back in Frontierland on a Tuesday night, in the middle of summer, because Pam and I are both teachers. So we go down for 10, 11 nights. I don't know, because we'd stay in an All-Star. We didn't have a lot of money, but we could afford an All-Star, and we got that Ultimate Park Hopper ticket back in the day, where once you bought, actually back in the day, those packages, you didn't buy number of days on your tickets. It equated with the number of nights you stayed at your hotel. You just got a ticket for every night at your hotel. You went and did whatever you wanted. You could do Disney Quest. You could do the water parks. You basically had, free reign of the whole place. And so but we'd stay out super late. And I just remember Paige just, we get her, we're terrible parents. We get her those big sugar sticks that you could I don't even know if they make them anymore. There was a big plastic tube, and you put different colors of sugar in them. So we get her one of those, just let her, have it, and she'd stay up late because she was on her sugar high. We'd watch Spectral Magic until 11:30, and then the park would be open till 1 o'clock in the morning for evening extra magic hours, and we just made the best memories. And I was for me, as somebody who, now that Paige is 28, working in Chicago, and Mallory's going to be a senior, if I could go back and relive that day one more time, I mean, you can't tell me how much money I'd pay to have that night one more time. And I think do you kind of have that same feeling? Because I think we're very much the same, I think, in where we are in life.
Yeah, no, I do have the same feeling. A lot of our core memories probably build around the resorts. I remember thinking how, before this vacation, my wife had been a few times. We had taken the kids to Myrtle Beach, a couple of other things, but just to marvel at the theming and the detail of the Disney resorts. Our first stay on property was Pop Century. So we were over by the Lady and the Tramp area. Mm-hmm. And we were like, oh, could we get, and we ended up doing it, because our first 3 trips, we were even on the third one, could we get the Tramp building? Because we haven't had that one yet. And we're trying to knock out each building in the thing. And my kids came back and they're like, I don't know if you remember this. They had the ices at the food court.
Yes.
You could go back, this was 2004, 2005, you can go and just take your mug and get ices. And my kids are like, it's 7-Eleven here. I can get ices all day long.
Disney loves hearing that, but kids love that. That's not you say that, it's oh, that sounds terrible. No, a kid is that is the bomb. That is the best. Yes. Yep.
My son, with the arcade they have in Pop Century, he's I can go to, I'm like, you can go to the arcade at home, son. This is Disney World. No, I'm having a good time. Everything revolved around the resort. And then what we did was we finally moved up categories. So our third or fourth trip, we moved up to Beach Club, and that introduced us to Stormalong Bay and the whole boardwalk area. So till this day, my 25-year-old, who was that 4-year-old when she first went, she absolutely is in love with the boardwalk area. If she sees a picture, she sends it to me. Those are still memories she had. And almost all of ours, our first time at Old Key West, the pictures of the bridges, we always talk about on the Discord, the golden hour pictures. Mm-hmm. Old Key West lends itself to some beautiful pictures. So for as much as I remember in the parks, probably our core memories revolved around, and there's been a little bit of talk of this in the Discord too, the older signature books. We still have those. The pictures we took on the Polaroid pictures we took of the kids with the characters. We have those in albums upstairs. Those would be my parkour memories. But with the kids, they were blown away by the resorts and the theming, etc. That's probably where I'll go back to. The not only the parks are open to 1, but I remember when we were staying at Beach Club back then, Stormalong Bay was open till midnight. You can go down that slide at midnight and be they're like, I want to close the pool. I want to be the last one here. I'm like, yeah, but so do those 14 other kids. Yep. And we have an early park day tomorrow, but knock yourself out. Go ahead. Me or mom will be here when you're done off the slide. So a lot of it revolves around probably the resorts, which are fabulous.
These are great.
The bubble at Disney is unbelievable.
And these are great stories, and I hope everybody's loving this, because what's awesome about it is no matter where you are, like on your continuum of Disney trips, you could be, I'm getting ready to go on my first trip here, in September, and, I don't have this whole backstory, or you could be where we are. You might have gone many more times than Paul and I have been, and a lot of our listeners have. What I enjoy is that, like you said, with Pop Century, that was kind of our home base. Like we went to the All-Stars a couple times, and we found Pop when it opened. And then we're like, dude, Pop is our jam. Because it's totally my thing. Like I'm a retro dude, and like it's got the 80s, the 70s. Like we stayed in the 70s because that was like, Pam and I were born in the 70s. We felt like that had to be our thing. And so, we were there. But then like you said, we did the 50s because it was a good spot with like the bowling pin pool. But it was just, it's one of those things though. Like you mentioned the arcade. So whenever I see the arcade at Pop Century, because I still stay there for races and so forth, it's a great hotel. It's got the Skyliner. It didn't have that back in the day, but when you said that, it immediately took me back to like with Paige, this is way before Mallory. She would go in that arcade and she would play. There was a game. It was back in the day. I don't know if you remember this. And some of our listeners might. There was a game called Paparama, I think, or something like that. What it was, this was gambling for kids. I am not lying. What happened was it was this like circle in the middle of this game, and it had different colors in the circle, and like there were different percentages. Like green would be about 40% of the circle, white would be maybe 20%. There'd be like a little bitty sliver of red, a teeny tiny sliver of blue. So then what would happen is like you would pick what color you thought this ball would stop on. It was basically kind of like roulette. And so you would put for kids. And so you would slide your card, to get a credit or whatever. And then you would push the button and the ball would like spin around, and wherever it stopped, like obviously the payoff would be higher for like if you bet on the sliver, right? I mean, she was like hooked on this game. I have pictures of her playing this game. Like we would go in there, I'm like, this can't be legal. But now, and it's not there anymore. It was like, I think it's called Paparama or something, but it was insane. But it's one of those things, like it was great for a rainy day. So like when it was raining, we'd go in there. Pam and I play skee ball because they had skee ball back in the day. I don't know if they still do, but it was one of those things that was just like, we had all these fun things to do at Pop Century. And what I like is now if I'm down for a race, I'll pop in. I'll walk through the arcade. I don't play the arcade games when I'm there by myself, but I just walk through for nostalgia reasons. And I love that, like you said, you can just walk by Stormalong Bay, and what's going to happen is you're going to remember those late nights, at the pool there. And I remember, late nights at the bowling pin pool when I'm at Pop Century, all that. I think that's why a lot of us do go back. And I think that's also kind of rambling here. It's like a Mike in the Midwest episode, but I think that's also why I think some of us have a hard time when changes happen, like when Tom Sawyer Island gets demolished or Rivers of America, because you can no longer access, those places to go back to those memories are going to be gone, which I mean, you got to have improvement, things change. But, if like Pop Century got leveled, I'd have a hard time because I always want to go back. Yeah.
No, people say to me all the time, my friends who know I'm full Disney adult, full bore Disney fan, and people who don't believe it, and they're like, you're going back again. They're like, are you going back because you really enjoy it, or are you going back because you have fond memories of when your kids were little? Both.
Yeah,
the answer
the same.
Is both.
It's both for me too. Yeah, 100%.
It's very easy because there's so much to do. I still haven't done it all. I love finding new things. This past trip, GEO-82, me and my wife always try to do something different. But in the old trips, like you say, you could walk by the pool. You're going to do this to me. I feel almost like it's that movie. The Show Me the Money movie, Jerry Maguire.
Jerry Maguire, Show Me the Money.
When he gets on the show at the end and he's like, you're not going to make me cry. You're going to do this to me, Mike, because I just got another core memory. And when I know when our call's done and the show's done, I'm going to think of 10 more things tonight that are going to bring a tear to my eye. But you talk about Pop Century, when the legendary years were on the other side and the bridge was closed, we would all get a Mickey bar and all walk halfway point of that bridge and enjoy our Mickey bar and recap our day and look across the legendary years and go, man, when that's finished, it's going to be fabulous. We have to stay there. Of course, it never came to be, but it doesn't stop that moment from happening. Yeah, you're right. Walking through now, it's great for me to go and find new things, ride new rides. Like I can't wait for the new test track, but to walk by these things and you remember the first time you're over the France Bridge in Epcot and we got a group picture as kids, or one time we went and my wife and I the kids we left with my dad at the hotel, and we snuck in Epcot. And my wife's like, "You think we can get a picture, just the two of us? Are the kids going to be upset?" I'm like, "I don't know. I don't really care. We're here. We're taking a picture." But yeah, you're right. To see it all again and to bring those memories flooding back, it's the best of both worlds. You have fun. There's never enough to do, and you can remember all the good times too.
I agree. I just wanted to bring that stuff up because I know we're very much alike, and I think our audience. I think it's a fun discussion to have because I think our audience is gonna. It's just something I wanted to bring up, and you're the perfect person to talk about that with. So let's talk about your trip because it gets back to family. I mean, I think that you mentioned on the Discord just the other day about like quality family time, or what'd you call it? It was like concentrated family
CFT,
time.
concentrated family time.
I love that. When I saw that, I'm like, I'm going to steal that from Paul. Like concentrated family time.
Yeah, take it, use it. I hope everybody does because
it was great.
At the end of the day, that's all we all want, right?
Because Cody was talking about his trip out to, down to Walt Disney World with his family. He says, works from home. Cody here in Missouri, right down the road from me in Lake St. Louis. He says, he works from home. Kids are from home. Kids are at home over the summer. But they took a quick little trip down to Walt Disney World for a few days. And he said, you know what's great? Got them away from the screens. We got to be together as a family. And, you nailed it. You said it's concentrated family time, got to be together. It's great, even though you're still all at home, got to be together, screens down, make some memories. So talk about this trip because you had family coming in from all over. We're not going to talk about the flight home. Well, we'll talk about it at the end.
I'm hoping it never happens to anybody else.
All good things come to an end. Exactly. Once you leave the bubble. But let's talk about how did this come together? Because you had so many moving parts, like obviously probably your idea, but maybe not. How'd it come together?
Let's see. So in 2024 was a big year. So going back to when you asked me how I got started with Disney, my two middle children, the ones who said, this place is so beautiful and can we come back every year? They were the first ones to be parents. So in 2024, they both had daughters.
Nice.
My son had a daughter. My daughter had a daughter, and we knew in 2025. We asked their parents, "You think that you'd like to go when they're both around one? Is that too little? They're free. It wasn't a hard sell. My son still likes Disney. He likes it now more because of his daughter. My daughter is, of my four kids, the biggest Disney fan. Her and her husband absolutely love Disney. That's like, the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree. They couldn't wait to go. So we knew, about a year ago, we would start to put this together. And it became interesting because for my son, his daughter, mom and dad didn't have too many experiences planning things out. My daughter and her husband, they'll plan fake trips in their head all the time. They're almost like Jason and Vern from the Discord. They will sit there and say, "What's our favorite resort? Let's get a grid out and let's figure it out." They will do that every meal, every weekend, etc. So they were all ready. But it was a style of two different things. The one family that wasn't that, my son loves it enough and he enjoyed his vacations, but he's not a Disney planner. He was like, "Oh, what are we going to do?" And my daughter's like, "Well, we could do this." And it started with little things like what rides, what restaurants, right down to the details of, are you bringing a stroller or are you renting a stroller? Do we need an extra seat for the plane? Or are we doing a lap infant? So it was like, 8 or so months ago, we started to put this all together, and we knew it would be the six of us and the two babies. One was, when we got there, one was 16 months old, and that's Emerson, and one was 11 months old, and that's Emma. So Emerson and Emma were ready for their trip, and we got on the plane, the six of us and the two babies, and we headed down. Now, as it became more of a trip, we always include all my children. We tell them what we're doing. You guys want to join us? You know what? Dad and Mom will pay for this. We'll pay for that. And you guys we just love having you. And my son, who lives in West Palm Beach, Florida, he's like, him and his girlfriend aren't doing anything that weekend. We'll drive up for that weekend. That'll be fun. Okay, great. They come up. And then the only person who was missing from the trip was my youngest daughter's husband. He had training for work it was a 6-week period. He was away. He couldn't get there. But she's like, "I'd love to join you because I get to see the babies." She doesn't live that far from us. She's only like an hour from us, which is an easy enough ride. But the idea of spending time in Disney drew her in, and she's like, "I'll come down for the weekend." So then what we had was it was June 27th, on that given Friday night, 6 of us flew down with the babies. My daughter had a flight booked for later that night, and my son was driving up after work. So by Friday late night, everybody was there. But the first day, for the 6 of us and the babies, it was Ohana. And it was so nice to see the girls experience a Disney meal for the first time.
That is awesome. So now let me ask you about the logistics of the travel with the babies. I mean, just anything that you learned that you want to pass along as a program, and also congratulations on being a grandpa. That's awesome. Like that's so cool. So, but I mean, what I mean, was travel hard with the babies? I mean, anything tips you throw out there?
In the end, they were. It's funny because you asked when we made the plans, and it was like 8 or 9 months beforehand. And I think mom and dad, and even my wife, because I was in the minority, I'm like, I think we might want to get an extra seat on the plane just for stuff. If one of the kids wants to kick around, they're like, no, they'll fit on our laps. My wife's like, even I'll help out.
Do flight
and then what
seats are expensive.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. But they were thinking of the kids at 8 months old and 4 months old.
Yeah,
the ages true.
They grow.
Not the ages they were when they traveled at 16 months and 11 months. That being said, the girls were beautiful. They just got comfortable. They were even troopers on the way home. So we made it very comfortably with hey, could you hold them for a second? Could you hold her for the next little bit of time? Let's, get it. We joke in the Discord about Bluey. Let's put Bluey on the iPad so the kids they were very good. We got a row of seats. So we got the 3 and 3 across from each other so we could pass the kids back and forth. It was pretty funny because one time we realized they just wanted to play with each other. So we handed one of my granddaughters over to this bank of 3 seats with the other granddaughter. And first, kids still fuss, and they immediately quieted down, immediately started playing with each other. And one of the flight attendants walks over and goes, you can't do that. And we're like, I'm sorry, but why? Well, because we only have 4 oxygen masks above you, so there can't be more than 1 lap infant in a bank of 3 seats. And I'm like, oh, we're absolutely sorry. We didn't mean to. I whispered to the flight attendant, I'm going, the people around us might be happy that they're quieter.
So say, I say if those oxygen masks drop, I'll just, I mean, like, how hard is that?
Yeah.
Like, for real.
And I'm joking with my daughter. I'm like, I could just pull one down and cut it and give you 5 oxygen masks. Yeah. I don't think that's going to help, but if it makes you feel better. But no, then the kids went back and they were good. So the travels, again, you're right. Airfare is too expensive. It's not like you could just get a free seat. But if you're on the fence about it, think about the age they're going to be when you travel. If you might want to think about getting them their own seat. Now that brings the logistics of a car seat and safety reasons, etc. So we were able to do it as a lap infant, and it worked. So at those ages, 16 and 11 months, it worked for that flight. Our flight from Newark is just under 3 hours. So if you're also considering where you're flying from in the country, the time, the age of the child. But for us, it was comfortable for that flight, even with a little bit of a delay going down. Now, the logistics of it with my daughter decided to bring the stroller. So they just checked it at the gate, carried her on. My son, his family decided to rent a stroller. So everything was, carry until we got, in the car service. And then we got to the hotel, and then the stroller company delivered the stroller. So it worked out either way. If you're deciding that, both of them were very happy with their decision. So you can't lose.
Good tips. We just like to give people options. So that way, at least you're thinking about things when you're planning. I mean, because we are a planning show, we like to tell stories, but at least you'll think about these things before you actually get to the airport and like, oh my gosh. Because I've never even thought about, having somebody sit in my lap. I'm pretty uncomfortable as it is on Southwest, just me, I can't imagine having a kid in my lap. So those days may come. We might have to fly a different airline. I don't know how that would work. Okay, so we don't have many other options out of St. Louis, to be honest. And Southwest, apparently, I saw the prices. Now they have assigned seating are crazy. So we'll have to check that out. I won't even know how assigned seating works. I've always just stood up in line and barreled for my seat. Get them away.
Just an aside, I didn't get to fly Southwest too much. I used to work in Nashville. So I would do a lot of travel to Nashville, got to fly Southwest 1 or 2 other times from Philly. But now up here in Newark and Philly, the other airlines have squeezed Southwest out. However, for only a few times, I was very upset when they went to that type of seating because I thought there was no more efficient system than here's my number because I got on 24 hours before. I am A23. Yep. I'm going to get to pick my seat. We're good to go. I always bothered me about the other airlines was, you have boarding group 5 trying to squeeze in with boarding group 3 in the middle of that airport walkway. It's a mess. It was always such systematic excellence to Southwest. And when they changed that, I was so disappointed.
I guess I'm going to learn how that looks here soon. Unfortunately, all my flights still through the other races the rest of this year are still the old system until, my next round. So we'll see how that goes. All right. So you get down there. Everybody arrives except, the first group get there. You do Ohana. So you said Ohana was a great meal there. Kind of kick the
great time.
That's a good kickoff. Yeah.
Now it ends. This is for review purposes of the meals we did there. It's probably came in last place, but it has nothing to do with it not being good. The other ones just started to blow us away each and every time more. The food was excellent. The server we had was fantastic. The kids enjoyed it. They gave us a nice little table in the corner, not with a great view of Magic Kingdom, but in the corner by the window so the girls could look outside. There was enough variety of food that they ate. All the adults enjoying themselves. We were lucky enough to have done Ohana a few times before. It didn't disappoint.
Nice. So that's arrival there. Now you guys stayed at the Grand Floridian, the villas of the Grand Floridian. So tell us about that. Give us a review of just the overall stay there, the amenities, the room, the pool, all, obviously location there, but how'd that work out?
Oh no, it was, so we arrived a little ahead of time. We got down there about 12 or 12:30. So we knew our room wouldn't be ready yet, or we didn't expect it to be. We went to the front desk. They asked if we knew Scotty G. I said, why? They go, because if you do, we're going to have your room ready late. I said, no, I'm not with, Scotty. So we were actually ready a little early. But those couple hours were easy to pass because we just walked over to the new Poly Tower. We just checked it out. We went over to Captain Cook's, got a little bit of food, hit the Tambu Lounge, got a couple of drinks, sat down, just relaxed on the outdoor patio of Captain Cook's. And then we got the little notification, headed over to the Grand Floridian. Fantastic check-in. We were lucky enough to get our grocery delivery person, never had to go to Bell Services. I saw her pushing the cart through the lobby. I'm like, Westbrook grocery delivery? And she's like, yeah, how'd you know? I just saw some of the items. Yeah. So she was able to take us up to the room, or come up to the room with us, got that unloaded. One thing that I do want to say, and I know you probably deal with this more, Mike, for your clients, but for anybody who's thinking about it and want to be proactive. So it was a lot, like as you said, it was a lot of moving pieces. I had my son from Florida and my daughter from Philly coming down for just a few nights, not the whole trip. But then the 6 of us with the 2 babies were there the whole time. So it changed our room configuration a little bit mid-trip. And then we're all traveling together, so we didn't want to be in the rooms too far from each other. Disney is fabulous at that. A couple of calls ahead of time, just weeks before the trip, explaining the whole situation. They're like, no, we'll link the whole thing together. We'll put you as a travel with. And they didn't disappoint. We were at the end of a small hallway. Our 2 big, we had the 2 2-bedroom units. They were right across from each other. So if one of us wanted milk from the other suite, we could walk over and get milk or cereal or whatever. Or the babies were in the same room so that, they could be in the side room sleeping, and they had the common area in the middle of the 2-bedroom. We were in the other 2-bedroom, my son and daughter. So it was Disney was so accommodating in terms of making sure we were all together close enough that we could enjoy our trip and not have to. It's not a big deal. I mean, if you have to go down a floor or walk down a hallway, it's no big deal. We've obviously had trips where we've stayed at other resorts and the rooms aren't right next to each other, but it's not inconvenient. But when you ask if they can, they'll make it so easy. And it was like that this time.
Yeah, I'm glad that happened for you, because it can be a challenge sometimes when you have a lot of the more moving parts you have, the more chances this stuff gets screwed up. I'm just saying, absolutely. To be honest, because when you have people coming in at different times, like I'm staying for part of the trip, that's when things get all cross your fingers, because they can do it, and it does happen right most of the times. But then the thing is, you got to get a good cast member, and a lot of times it's like any job, right? I mean, there's a way to do it, but experience, right? You have to get a cast member that is very familiar with how to work the system, because it's not, a lot of times I think on their end, it's not obvious, because you got to know how to manipulate things. And if you're a rookie, you know how to do the basic things, but maybe not. That's just from my opinion on that stuff, but you got to.
No, you're right.
Got a good cast member.
That's why it was a couple calls. The first one was not quite sure, and she did the best she could. Yes. And she's like, I can't guarantee this. And I'm like, all right, catch your breath. I'll
Yeah.
call back in a couple days. And
That's
I did.
exactly what
and I
you
got
do.
this wonderful cast member who
Yep.
brought up, she goes, I could see everything on the screen here.
Yeah.
And then I just hear her tapping the device. She's like, I don't know why they didn't do this. I don't know why they didn't do
That's
that. Don't worry, I'm
100%
going to
it.
get it all linked together for
That's
you.
what you do.
And it was a great experience. Like,
That's what
you're
you do.
right, though. It depends on the cast member.
So now you guys were there. So it was like a long weekend trip, right? Like 3 days?
Yeah, it was a Friday to Wednesday.
A Friday to Wednesday. So you were there a pretty long time.
It was a good trip, yeah. My son and daughter were there just there for the long weekend. Like my son left Friday to Sunday, and my daughter left Monday. And then I put on my notes here as we were talking about things. It's kind of halftime. That was halftime of the trip. Like we got there with all 4 kids, extended family, and then at halftime it turned into just the group that flew down, the 6 of us with the 2 babies.
Cool. And that's a good way to put it too. I like the halftime. That's a good. I like that idea. So I want to make sure we get in all the stuff. I just want to sit back and kind of make sure that you tell the story, because we have about 30 minutes left, and I kind of took up too much time on the front end because I wanted to, talk to you about those things, and I feel bad about that now because I want you to tell your story of this trip because you're there with the grandkids for the first time and your family. But we've kind of talked about the Grand Floridian, we've talked about the Ohana, but so many more stories. So cut loose. Like, what were the best parts of this trip? What's going on. This is your thing. So just tell the story of the trip.
Okay, so we had that Ohana meal, and it was nice. And we didn't plan much for the first night. Walk around, check out the pool. We knew we went to the lobby. We knew the construction was going on in the Grand Floridian, but it's still awe-inspiring. So we just took it all in, got to bed early. Knew the next day was Epcot. We planned Epcot for the girls. That was going to be the first park day. The girls, their parents, and my wife couldn't head over early enough. I'm not quite an early bird. I'm not Ricky late, but I'm not an early bird where, I got to be over there at the opening. So I said to him, I knew my son that drove up, he was going to want to sleep in a little bit. We all had a Guardians, except for the few in our party who don't like the ride. So they were going to watch the baby. So there was like 6 of us that had a Guardians reservation. I'm like, I'll be over there before that. My son will be there. You guys go with the babies, take pictures. They ended up doing Spaceship Earth, a couple of small things. And then we all met together. And then we rode Guardians. And they went over to Moana. And then we made our way around some of the countries. And we had a Remy reservation, which I'm bringing. I'm not going to go through every ride. But Remy was my oldest granddaughter, Emerson, loves Ratatouille, absolutely loved the ride. It was so special to see her, like, not be afraid. You don't know how a child's going to act, but to love it, especially with all the movement in Remy and all the scenes and the flames and the different being chased. And she absolutely fell in love with it. So remember her mom saying how much that was her thing. And it was like almost worth the trip just for that one ride for her. And then we had a Via Napoli lunch, always knocks it out of the park for me. So that's what I meant. Like Ohana didn't disappoint. But by the next day, we did Via Napoli, and I remembered how much I loved Via Napoli. And because we were a big party, they sat us right at the high tables there near the back of the hostess station.
Yep.
And it just got such a family atmosphere with the whole building, never mind just our group. And the food's flowing, and everybody's happy, and you can't get enough pizza. And it was just a good lunch. After that, got to do Voices of Liberty when we're in Epcot. We all headed over there. Did Voices of Liberty, always moving. Everybody loves it. And then we headed towards Soarin' and, saw a couple of the countries along the way. And as with all of us, time moves so fast there. You think you're getting a lot done. You can't believe half the day's gone. The kids all have bedtimes. So we just, went over to Soarin', called it an early night, did a couple things in the front of the park, headed back, enjoyed the Grand Floridian a little bit. The pools are there. The facilities are fantastic. It was a good day. It was just a good day. The next day, we didn't have a park planned. It was fantastic.
That is a good day. I mean, that is a great day. I mean, because you didn't force yourself. You let everybody do what they wanted. The people who got up early, got to go over early, get a jump on things. You didn't feel like getting up super early and chasing them. You didn't have to. You met up with them when you were ready with your son. I love that. Like, with the transportation options at Walt Disney World, we don't talk about this very often, but that gives you the opportunity as a group. You don't have to all travel as a pack 24/7. Like, there's going to be a second monorail, a third monorail over to Epcot from the Grand Floridian. You can do that, and it's freeing. It gives you options, and Then you're all together the rest of the day. And I know the high top table you're talking about at Via Napoli, perfect for groups. And Via Napoli is underrated for groups too. It's a great place because pizza and that kind of food, all the pastas. Oh man, now you got me thinking. I love the Quattro Formaggi over there. Oh man.
Oh, love the Quattro. We got a margarita. We got a Quattro Formaggio. We got
margarita solid too. Yes, that'd be my second.
Yep.
Yes. Oh man, I need some pizza. All right, so tell us. So you go back, chill out. What next day was just a rest day? You just kind of chilled out.
Yeah, next day was a rest day. So the families kind of split up. My son's family, I think they did Disney Springs that day, and we asked them at the end. That was the night we had Citricos for dinner. So again, building on it. Yep. Nothing wrong with Via Napoli. Nothing wrong with Ohana, but it was going to be Citrico, so it was really nice. But with Citricos, we recapped. But during the day, my son and his family went to Disney Springs. My daughter and her family, they took the baby and they went elsewhere. And we had my older son was playing golf, and me and my wife and my younger daughter, who flew down by herself, we decided to give her that day. So I think I mentioned before, she loves the boardwalk area. So we just headed over to the boardwalk area. We went in the Swan and Dolphin. We walked over to the Beach Club, which happens to be her favorite. We walked to the boardwalk, jumped the Skyliner, went over to the Riviera, had lunch at Bar Riva, took in the Riviera's grounds, and then eventually made our way back for dinner at Citrico's. I guess a little heads up, and this is nothing we haven't talked about on the show before. Big party. You're not always going to get everybody at one table. They did the best we could. They sat us 2 tables very near each other, and that's happy. Like you can't dwell on all the details being perfect. You just have to enjoy what's given to you, and you ask and you plan and you try. We were all able to sit together for Ohana. We were all able to sit together for Via Napoli. We can't sit together, but we're near each other, so that it's like almost like on a cruise ship, right? You'd love to be at the same table, but if I'm at 2 tables next to each other,
yep,
it's still a party. And Citrico's didn't disappoint also. It was a fabulous dinner. And then when that was over, it's time to sit back, have dessert. It's time for the girls to go to bed. And we head back and we all sit in the room. I mean, I forgot to tell you one thing about the room where we were at the end of the hall. So we were at I think it was 16, 26, 28, 25, and 27. And it was at the end of the hall in the Villas building at Grand Floridian. And that is right on the monorail. I sat on the balcony and just took video
That's awesome.
of the monorails coming and the going. And I'm like, so that was something I could do. We could go back, have dinner, and I'm just going to sit there with my video camera. And I'm sitting there. One time the monorail stopped, and I'm like, these people are going to think I'm weird with my camera. I'm going to go inside for a few minutes, wait until they run it and take their video. Because I don't want a bunch of people behind that glass staring back at me. Are they going to hand me a microphone? Por favor, mantenga si alejero de las puertas.
Yes.
I don't want to have to do that. I don't want that pressure. I just want to be able to film you as you're coming and going. Did I get the gold? Did I get the orange? What monorails didn't I get? I had so much. My wife's like, you got so much video monorails. I'm like, but I'm never going to be at this balcony again.
Yes.
It's right on the corner.
So
we just enjoyed the place. After Citrico's, we just had a nice, recap. We all sat in the living room together. I think I mentioned that you could have the babies in the one master, the babies in the studio part of the 2-bedroom, and we were all able to sit in the middle and just recap and look forward to our next day, which was Magic Kingdom.
So I get Citrico's and Narcoossee's confused. Citrico's is the one that's out on the water, the round building? Or is that
no, that's Narcoossee's.
Okay. Scott drags me to these places and I can't.
Oh, Scott wants me to try it too. And he's got me to try Citrico's, and he's right.
Yeah.
I really should be going already. Narcoossee's is on the water.
Yeah, he takes me all those places.
Citrico's is in the main building.
Yep.
Near Victoria and Albert.
Yep. I've been there too. He's taking me all these fancy places. Yep. I just can't keep track. They're just all like fancy 1 and fancy 2. They're all good, but they're lost on me. Like I like Grand Floridian Cafe. That's fancy for me, but I appreciate it. Don't get me wrong. They're all great, but I get them confused. Okay. So the next day, Magic Kingdom, going right back to, right there in the neighborhood, Grand Floridian. So I imagine that was a fun day for everybody.
Magic Kingdom was really, it was almost like reliving that moment with my 2 middle children again. And we started just doing the classic rides. We started doing, just the Fantasyland rides. We had a reservation for Tron for the few of us that wanted to ride it. And my daughter and her husband were going to watch the babies. And we ended up doing that. But it was really just a day about Small World, about Pooh, about Pan, those things. One special moment I have to say is my youngest granddaughter, Emma. She really wanted her mom for her with the Winnie the Pooh ride, and we put it on our lightning lane. We did it, and when we did it, she slept.
No.
And we got off the ride, and my daughter's like, I wish she wouldn't have slept, but you know what? She goes, I know the lightning lane rules. We can't ride it twice. Eventually we'll get on again, and I think she would really like it. I'm just upset she slept, but no big deal. Let's go on with our day. So my wife I let them walk ahead, and I went back to the station, and I told them the whole story. I'm like, listen, my granddaughter's here for the first time. She just slept through the whole ride. I know we can't use multi-pass again. I'd give up one if I could. I'd give up my Peter Pan or whatever. The guy goes to me, he goes, just bring her back. We'll get her on. And they did. So my family went back, not my whole family, I told my daughter, and her husband were so happy. They went back with just her, and they got to ride it again when she was awake. And Emma absolutely loved it. And that was her thing. Other than the first shake she got from the plaza, because when mom got herself a shake and decided to give Emma at 11 months a taste of it, Emma finished half the shake on her own, and mom almost never saw it back. So that maybe Pet Pooh was her second favorite thing of the day. But we continued to just go through the park and do first time Magic Kingdom things. Saw the stage show in the front of the castle, which the girls loved because they love anything with music. My older granddaughter, Emerson's very, dance music. She loved it. At 16 months, she couldn't get enough of it. But I think what made me the most happy is that shake. My younger granddaughter finished that shake right before parade time. So we came out of the plaza, we posted up to watch the parade, and all the whole trip, we were worried about my older granddaughter, Emerson, and being able to see characters. Would she want to do meet and greets? How is she going to be with them? Because whenever we've done characters at home, Mrs. Claus, Easter Bunny, she's generally terrified.
Yeah.
So we're like, I don't know, like we can kind of get her feet wet. We'll do it from a distance. Maybe we'll do face characters with her. We didn't know how the Magic Kingdom day was going to go. But that parade hooked her. She was pointing at the characters, waving at the characters. When the characters would wave back, she lit up like a Christmas tree. That parade was really special for Emerson to see that. So at Epcot, Emerson's favorite ride was probably Remy, as I mentioned. Emma was living with the land.
Yes.
Respect.
Let's go.
Because
that's right.
We made it to the greenhouses and all the vegetables, and she was locked in looking on everything. But in Magic Kingdom, Emma got to do Pooh. But Emerson really broke the ice with those parade and the characters all looking back at her and waving to her. I'm hoping that's a core memory she'll remember forever, because we all of a sudden then weren't so worried about how she'd be with the characters because she couldn't get enough of that parade.
Well, if Emerson does it, you will. And I learned something too about Emma, because we have two things in common. One, we both can down shakes from the plaza like nobody's business. So I shout out to Emma for that. And two, we both fall asleep on dark rides. I mean, it happens to who hasn't? I mean, if you go there in the summertime, it can happen to the best of us. I mean, I don't blame her. And I don't get a re-ride. Nobody gives me a re-ride.
Little air conditioning, little dark ride. It's fantastic.
You know what? But I'm glad you shared that story though, because that's a cast member reading the room, right? It's three people, it's one seat, and it's making a memory that you're talking about months later. It's doing the right. It's reading the room. It's doing the right thing. It's not costing anything.
You go, and this is. I mean, I wanted to say, like, we've had so many great trip reports in a row. I didn't even know how I was going to follow it, but it's nothing that anybody who is a fan of this podcast or is in the Discord is ever going to goof on. But the people who are at Disney World and are entitled and demand and expect certain things. Like, you just go in, and if you're nice enough and you ask, you might not get it. He very well could have told me, that's the multi-pass rules, and my daughter wouldn't have known that we tried to do it for her. But like you said, he read the room. He's like, just tell them. He goes, is it going to be all of you? And I'm like, no. We wrote it already. It would just be them, the three of them. He goes, just have them come back. He goes, if I'm not here, I'll tell the next person. And my daughter did it, and it was so smooth. And like you said, I'm going to remember it months later. I'm going to remember it years later.
I love that. So we got about 10 minutes left. So I want to get the highlights of what's. So you said you went to GEO-82 on this trip, right?
Oh, well, that's the next. Okay, so let me only because I know this has become a topic on the Discord, and for those people who aren't in the Discord, even though you should be, get over there. We love you. But if you're not there yet and you're relying on this trip report, 1900 park fare. So when Magic Kingdom was over, again, it's almost the girls' bedtime. We got to get something to eat. We're like, my wife's like, and we saw how well Emerson did with the parade. My wife's like, I think the girls might like a character dinner.
Smart.
And we're like, I don't know. We didn't make the reservation. Let's jump on the app and see what there is. And 1900 Park Fair had it. Now, we hadn't done 1900 Park Fair since it was the stepsisters and my kids were little. And it was fun, but we didn't know how it was going to be for them. But we're like, you know what? Let's ride it. Magic Kingdom was a fun day. The girls like the characters. The girls like the shakes, the rides. Let's see if we can get them a character dinner. And we had it. And we went over there. And I'll tell you, it was, again, I'm not going to say 1900 Park Fair is better than Citrico's. But in terms of the experience for our group with two granddaughters, the hits kept coming. We went from a great Ohana to a great Via Napoli to a somehow better Citrico's to a somehow better experience at 1900 Park Fair. I can't recommend it highly enough. The server, the characters were, I'm not saying they're not always great, but there was just something special about how they took a knee and sat down at the girls' level. Now, it was funny because Emerson is just warming up to characters. So they were very soft with her, conversational with her, and she appreciated it. And she was able to interact, was smiling for pictures. Emma, and I'm not kidding here, I'm not going to put my daughter on the spot. Emma's an eater. Emma likes to eat. And it's almost like Joey Tribbiani and Friends. You don't touch Emma's food. And if the character's there when Emma's eating, that character might be secondary. And after a while, I'll try to imitate it here on the thing. Emma's facing her food and the character's right over her shoulder talking to her. And Emma would do one of these.
Yeah, I get it.
And just keep eating. After a while, the character kept talking. Emma offered her a piece of food. Like, it's dinner time. Do you want to eat? Now, she wasn't snotty about it. She took the picture. She's 11 months old. She's very happy that somebody's paying attention to her, but food first.
Yeah.
But the characters still were patient with her. The pictures were great. The experience was good. And if you can't say it enough, the food was unbelievably good. So my son's a big eater. My son-in-law are big eaters. There was 2 carving stations. I had turkey. They had prime rib. I might have finished a whole serving tray of mashed potatoes, Mike. They were unbelievably good. This food was all to die for, and it was a character meal. It crawled under the radar for me because we considered character meals going in. Of course, Chef Mickey's. The girls are a little too young for Cinderella's Royal Table. Something we could look at down the road.
I mean, you got to.
This one snuck up on us, and I'm very happy we did it.
No, you got to save something, right? I mean, you got to have something for when they're 3 and 4 and 5. Like if you do Cinderella's Royal Table now, you're going to be in big trouble. Like you got to hold on because you're doing stuff early. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll jump over to GEO-82 because I know we're short on time, but that was a 1900 Park Fair. I didn't want to miss that experience because for any listeners who are thinking about it, fantastic experience, especially with the table next to us. I think was a girl celebrating her 5th birthday or 7th. One of them was 5, one of them was 7. They also had a fabulous time. Nice. They were pretending to be princesses for my granddaughters after the princesses left. Oh, it was adorable. Everything, good time by all. For the right age group, that I would guess, 7, 8 and under. It was a great character meal. But yeah, the next day, so we went back to a non-park day. My wife and I were fortunate enough to still have our annual passes. They've since expired, sad face, but what are you going to do? But then we had it. So the families went their separate ways. My son and daughter had since left at halftime. So my wife and I we were lucky enough the day before at Magic Kingdom. I had been trying for a month to get GEO-82. No luck. Searched the whole thing. I love the app now will let you search your whole trip. Couldn't find it. The day before, my wife loves the carousel. So I got to take her on the carousel once or twice when we're at Magic Kingdom. And we're in line for the carousel, and I'm always retrying. And I see it. 11:10 a.m., GEO-82 for 2. Took it. Told her afterwards. She wanted to do it too. So now we built our day off. It was our last full day. We're going to Epcot. She lets me get in Guardians one more time. She doesn't enjoy it. I'm trying to get all the songs, so she lets me do it. She spent the time in the beautiful area where, out by Walt's statue in the middle. I miss my fountains, but it is a nice area.
Yep.
Then we met back up. We did Grand Fiesta Tour. but we made sure, she did a couple of the countries, and then we went back and got our GEO-82. I couldn't believe how beautiful it is. I mean, I love listening to when, Pam or Scott talk about these lounges, and I've added some and gotten to go some simply because of the show's recommendations. But I couldn't wait for this one, and it didn't disappoint. It was fantastic. From the nostalgia of it, to the pictures in the lobby, to the gold color touches of the decor, to the glass where you could see everything. We were lucky enough to have a window seat all the way to one side, so the view was perfect. The small plates were good. The drinks were fabulous. Got me hooked on a Japanese whiskey that Maria is now recommending more to me. I know she recently went to GEO-82 and loved it. I was so happy for her that she had a good time there, because I know she was looking forward to it. It left me, I want to say, speechless, but at the same time, coming out for the Discord, I wrote such a review because I couldn't hold back words on what an experience it was. I know you've went there and you loved it too. It's a little early for me for the brown bourbon old fashioned, brown butter old fashioned. I wanted it, but I went with a different drink. But the place is a home. We talk about Disney with the singles and doubles. As much as a lounge can be a home run, that place is a home run.
I agree, because what I like in general was there was two things that really nailed it for me. One is that it gave the people who are the hardcore fans something, especially the retro feel of it. It went back to kind of because I wasn't there in 82. I didn't get to experience Epcot back then. I kind of, came into Epcot or in Walt Disney World like the late 1990s, early 2000s. So I missed that, when Epcot was what I call pure, back in like the early 80s, the mid 80s, that kind of time, which I think I would have loved. It was very educational. So I would have loved that, but they got all those kind of, retro feels inside of GEO-82, but also in a bigger sense, I like the idea that they took a corporate lounge and turned it into a place that's accessible for everybody. Because for so long, Absolutely. It's been going the other way, right? They've been taking public places and, and I know you're DVC, and this is not a slight on anybody, but they've taken places like the Shooting Gallery and turned it into a DVC lounge, which that's fine. I mean, that's fine for people that are DVC, but they've gone the other way with this. This was, a place that, nobody could go unless you're part of a company, and, there's perks to be it, this is how the world works. Businesses have to have their lounges and stuff, but they took it and they made it so that you could go there as just a regular old schmo, and have a really expensive old fashioned and some really expensive ahi tuna, but for a special occasion. And, if you're a Disney fan, that's a special occasion place that now is accessible, and it really has nods to the old, Epcot, and you can appreciate it. So they opened up a really cool area where you feel for an hour, kind of fancy. I do love it for that. They switched it on us. Instead of taking a place and taking it away from us, they gave us access to a really cool place.
No, it's very nice. And everybody, and I'm sure reservations will get easier to get. That first month or two was hard, but you're right. For a special occasion, it's so nice. And that the fact that everybody can go in there and see that view and, enjoy it is just, fabulous. If somebody were to be outside that window waving at me, I can't necessarily see them.
I didn't even
I'm
know.
not going to wave back. I'm not trying to ignore them. I just feel like, I want to take it all in. I don't see you. But you might think you see me, but you don't. Now, I'm sorry, Jason, if you were waving, and Mike, I know didn't mean to blow you off either, but no, that's just funny. But yeah, you could see, I did it too. When I walked outside, when we were done, I looked back at the window, I'm going, wow, I feel like waving to people, kind of like when a boat goes by on the Sassagoula, but I don't think they're going to care on waving to them, but whatever. It's a beautiful place.
I think I told Ben Lappin, I said, I think I know what God feels like now. Like, just watching me make all kinds of this. Because what we did was, I was like, I told him this. I mean, probably because like one old fashioned and I'm 3 sheets to the wind because I never drink, but I had one and it was like 10:30 in the morning because it was the only time I guess we could get in. But I did go over to the studios and I had something to eat first because I knew we were doing this. But I had the old fashioned. I think I gave like a sip of his whiskey or something because he had the sampler or whatever, the flight. And I told him, I said, Ben, I think this is what God must like see, because what we did was we watched everybody like wander around because we had a window seat. We were right on the windows there too, like where you're looking out into what's the old future world. And so what we saw was just people making mistake after mistake. And so what we did was we started like making up backstories for what everybody was doing. Like we'd see, you know, like a couple, one person would go one way, one person would go the other way. Then you'd see somebody circle back. They'd have to meet back up. Like, oh, that person forgot their phone charger. So then I got to get it.
Fill in the gaps.
The guy got to get it from the wife's got the phone charger. So he's got to go back and get the phone charger from the wife. Or, you know, oh, don't go that way, dude. Oh, no, that's the wrong way to go at this time of day. You know, you know, this guy doesn't have a hat on. And, you know, it's like when we were making up all these backstories, I'm like, this is probably what God says every day when I'm walking around on earth. Like, man, Mike's just making another mistake. There he goes.
Just shaking his, yeah.
My everyday life. This is exactly what he's seeing. He's like, there he goes, just making another dumb choice, just walking along. It's just,
but you know what?
we called him the guy. We called him the guy windows. Anyway, so give us one last story though from the trip. I always like to end with like, you know, like when you think back on the trip, like what was there one like seminal moment or what, you know, one thing that you're going to remember from the trip? Or just a tip or something, you know, just anything for
that
us.
night we finished up again, and this is only to emphasize the point we talked about earlier, and I think it's so important for all the families going, that concentrated family time. So we like to, and so that night we ended up at Steakhouse 71, another fantastic meal, because we always try to not insist, but if we go as a multi, we miss when it was the six of us, but our kids grow, and it's the greatest thing about being a parent, right? We missed them when they were little, but if you stopped them from growing up, they wouldn't get to experience your favorite part, which was, you know, being a parent, doing these things when you're an adult. So when there was the six of us, we always made sure we had one sit-down meal a day. So now when it's all of us, even if we go our separate ways on a break day, come back together and let's talk about our day, how everything go, break bread, and have a nice meal, which we did that night at Steakhouse 71. So I'm going to remember those meals, the days we were together in the parks or maybe separated, but the meals that we had and the time that we spent recapping, maybe laughing with the server or watching the girls interact amongst themselves, it is just so special. The other thing I'm going to remember, we touched on it, and I don't want to take up time talking about it because it's just dwelling on the negative. That flight delay we had coming home, which lasted so long, I'm going to remember how good the babies were. I'm going to remember the nice family that was coming off of a flight when we were in the airport. One thing that was almost panic mode, Mike, was we brought, or the girls, the moms brought diapers in the diaper bag, enough for a 3-hour flight home and a little bit more, but not a 14-hour delay.
That's crazy.
All the diapers were in the luggage that was in the cargo hold, and they weren't letting us have access to that. So I'm going to remember that one family that was coming off the flight, and they were going home or going to the park or having access to their luggage. And my wife was nice enough to walk up and going, here's our situation. Do you have a couple diapers you could spare? And they did. I'm going to remember how nice the people were to us.
Oh, man.
How good the little girls, how good my granddaughters were in basically starting their night sleep in an airport. And how good it felt to get home and have all these memories. You can't help but think when you have a delay like that, it impacts you, but not let it forget all the good times and the good that came out of it. So it was a monumental, historic trip, but so many positives.
What a great attitude and a great reminder that, you know, maybe somebody's going to be in, who knows, you know, your next trip, somebody could be in that same situation and you could be the person that has the diapers in your carry-on and you're, you know, in 45 minutes, you're going to be back in your warm bed in excess to 50 diapers in the nursery. So just, you know, who knows? I'm very much a person to pass it on, you know, keep the good going kind of thing. And I love that.
In that instant, diapers to me were old paper fast passes. I'm leaving the park. I can't use these fast passes at Splash Mountain, but would you like them? Thank God somebody had diapers for us.
Dude, and we all want the kids to have diapers. I mean, my God. I mean, for real, every person in that airport wants a kid to have a diaper. Yes. I'm just saying.
A necessity.
Paul, man, I'm just personally, I just want to say I'm so glad we're friends, and I am not kidding that you bring the heart to the Discord, and I'm so glad that we have this community that we can just all drop in daily and multiple times a day, and it stays up on my desktop computer here in the office, and it's just it's a joy. It's my second family online, and you know, just and then eventually we'll all get, hopefully sometime soon, we'll all get down to Walt Disney World at the same time, get to hang out, break bread. But it's a great place to be able to hang out. So thank you for being a friend, and great show.
Thank you. I can't wait. When the fun you guys had in Splitsville, if we can do that 5-fold or 10-fold, oh, what a glorious time it would be.
We're going to do it. We're going to make it happen. It's just so hard. That's why I said, you know, I tell Pam all the time, the podcast is a blessing and a curse. It's a blessing because I have so many great friends because of the podcast, and I would never have somebody living in St. Charles County, Missouri, 25 miles outside of St. Louis. I would not have near the friends that I have because of the podcast. But the curse is everybody is spread all over the planet. Like on a Friday or Saturday night, I'm like, how cool would it be if we could all just go to a ball game, or if we could all just, go bowling, or, go to a rodeo, or whatever we have, or, whatever it is, like if we could just all hang out. Because, like even Scott, my best bud, like we live, he's in Michigan, I'm here. Like you just don't get to hang out. But I mean, it still brought you great friends, but it's just one of those things like the distance.
Oh, that's why the cruise was so special for you guys. Absolutely. It's the distance. It's hard. Like you say, blessing and a curse is a great way to put it.
It is. But I mean, I'll take the blessing anytime. So no problem. Your friendships have brought so much to my life. So appreciate it, Paul. And best wishes to the family, and hope you have a great rest of the summer. Good luck to your wife. Is she still teaching? It's still?
She is. Yeah. We're lucky in New Jersey. She doesn't go back till right about Labor Day.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
There's quite a ways yet. Like I know when you talk about it, when you're like, for my friends in the Midwest and the South, only a couple weeks left. I'm like, she only had a couple weeks. She just got out June 25th.
Oh,
it's a good thing.
Oh, it's great. Yeah.
But it's the time, whether it's 2 weeks, whether it's 4 weeks, the summer's winding down. I hope you, congratulations to Pam on her retirement. I hope you guys enjoy it. Can't wait to hear more about your travels, not just in the summer. Thank you so much, Mike, for everything. This was fabulous. I'm so glad we got together and talked.
All right. Well, hey, come over to the Discord. If you haven't, we've tried to sell it about 1,000 times today. So if you're not coming over, you're never coming over. But if you need the website, beourguestpodcast.com/clubhouse will give you a welcome right away. Don't forget, today's show brought to you by the Magic for Less Travel. We'd love to help you plan your next adventure to your Disney destination. And the best part, no additional cost to you. So check out all the details today over at themagicforless.com. Please also use our Amazon affiliate link. It's beourguestpodcast.com/Amazon. You got to get those back to school goodies, so help the show at the same time. Again, beourguestpodcast.com/Amazon. And thank you so much to our Patreon supporters. You guys make the show possible. Couldn't do it without your support. You can support us as well, just $5 a month. And for that support, you get a bonus show called Mike in the Midwest every week. So come on over. We'd love to have you at patreon.com/beourguestpodcast. You can give me a follow on the social media at beourguestmike. That's on x.com, Instagram, and Threads. And of course, we'll have the live call-in show this Sunday night, 7 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Central. You can give us a call, be a part of the show. 5 places: Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and Twitch. Yes, I remembered all 5. It's a good day. All right, so we're going to jump out of here and wish you a great Monday. We'll be back again on Wednesday with more of your listener questions. So if you have a question, email me, mike@beourguestpodcast.com. All right, so for Paul out in New Jersey, where the cold front's coming right away, I promise you. Push it in. We're getting you there. I'm Mike here in Missouri. You guys have a great week. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you real soon.
You've been listening to the Be Our Guest Walt Disney World Trip Planning Podcast. If you have questions, comments, or would like to be a guest on the show, please visit our website at beourguestpodcast.com. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you real soon.